Luke, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us on Swans TV at the end of a challenging campaign. But as we sit here now, how do you reflect on the last 5 months?
Well, yeah, it's been very challenging, but I think also we saw some real positives, and I think individuals within the team really stepping on and giving us a real hope for the future. And as a team, I think the team performed in a certain way that gives us optimism. So yeah, as tough as it was, I think there's shoots there, and we need to try to really focus on that.
Because it's hard to implement the change in style halfway through a season, but how valuable could this 5 months prove to be, in the sense that it's not starting afresh in the summer? There is that body of work behind you already.
Yeah, I really hope so. I hope that when we come back together for pre-season training, that many of the things that were new and a bit scary, have become more normal, and then see if we can stretch the boundaries and improve our performances more. I think there was many games that were decided on very fine margins, one goal, a draw, or a narrow loss, that we can try to turn those into more victories, and that's really given me a lot of excitement for pre-season training.
Yeah, because you finished the season with a good run of form in terms of results, Luke, but in the wider sense, looking at sort of the statistics and the metrics behind the performances over the last quarter of the season, it's right up there with any team in the Championship on a number of fronts, with and without the ball. How encouraging is that in terms of your messaging to the players, that the underlying figures, if you like, tell you that they're capable of challenging at the top end of the table?
Yeah, and brilliantly said. I think that's the message that we have to get out there to the players, so that they can see how close they are to being able to to make a really fantastic season, a really exciting season, and compete at the top end. So yes, the numbers are important, because they help to keep you on the right path, and then of course we watch, and we have some experience to tell us what we're seeing is good or bad. So we know what we have to try to do. We know the margins we have to try and push, and if we can do that, then we know we give ourselves a chance of being in the shake-up.
Yeah, because when you came in, you talked about being a front foot side with and without the ball. So among those figures are most crosses into the box during that time, possession share second highest in the league, XG has been high, and then without the ball, pressure, high pressing, winning the ball back, counter pressures. Those are all sort of touchstones, what you mentioned, the first night you were here. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah, and I think the numbers don't lie, and I'm so grateful to the players, because I asked them to try to put things into practice against some very, very tough opposition at the beginning of the time we spent together, and I'm so grateful for them, because they done that. And even with bad results, we were able to pick out some positives within the performances, which is really tough. And we try to narrow down our focus on extending the periods of time where we played well. And I think the numbers, again, they speak for themselves, and we managed to get to a good level of all-round performance defensively and with the ball. I think if we convert more chances, we're a better team. I think we had a run where we conceded from a lot of dead balls, which over the course of the season we were fantastic at, because we have really good guys and we have Marge, so we have a great advantage like that. And they're the things that really are driving me, for next season, to feel really optimistic.
And I guess you've touched on a few of them there, Luke, but what's the next step for this side? What are the areas of improvement you want to take forward into the new season?
Absolutely. I think we need to convert more chances, because, as you said, we have many box entries. The most our XG is very high, is in the top 4 in the Championship. So we need to convert better. And then I think that, again, with so many games, we only conceded the one goal that I think on many times was avoidable, and they're the margins that if we increase those numbers, then we're in a really good place, and so that has to be the aim.
And how important will pre-season be for you, Luke, to have that extended period of time with your squad, preparing your methods, preparing them for what lies ahead?
I think the key thing in that is the squad. Yeah. Is can we get the squad together in time to get the work in, so that we have the best chance of beginning the campaign strong. and not needing to bring people in to get them up to speed later on. That would be the perfect scenario, and I'm sure myself and every other head coach in the Championship will be thinking the same, but it's not always as simple as that. But that certainly is what we're already doing. There's so much work going on to try and make that a reality.
Yeah, and it's inevitably going to be a busy summer, as it is for so many clubs. Talent, clearly important in terms of what you want to bring in, Luke. But how important is character and having the right traits in that side of things as well? Yeah,
for me, this is really crucial, because I think over a long, tough Championship campaign, and you throw in the cup games as well, and the 3 games a week, and the weather. I think we have more than our fair share of rain in Swansea, and the wind can be incredible up here. So we need characters that can work through all the different ups and downs of a Championship season, because I think that the talent and the quality is 50%. I think 50% is the stuff that you don't see necessarily with the naked eye. It's about the strength of character, for sure.
And how important is mindset as well? Look, the players had a tough campaign. There's no two ways about it. I think everyone would acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But the best teams that go on to be successful, they come through those tough times. They come through that bit of adversity, and they're able to kick on. How important is to have that?
Very. As we were talking about there, the individuals need to have the strongest character that we can find out there. We need to see if we can do as much due diligence on guys that are coming into the club, so that we know that they have the strong mentality. And then I think that a group of players together, a squad of players, can develop a mentality between them. And I think you need critical mass. I think you need just the right amount of guys in there that can lead and can pull people with them, and then you create a group mentality, and that is very, very difficult to beat, I think, once you can get to that point.
Because I know you spoke at the awards last week about team mentality, and one of the things you mentioned was the moment of Ollie Cooper winning the ball back in stoppage time against Cardiff, and his teammates sort of jumping all over him to thank him and to get around him and let him know what an important action they thought that had been. I'm guessing that's part of that.
Yeah, no, that for me was the takeaway. That was the absolute highlight, that moment, because that was the expression of a team together. That was an expression of a team that understood how to sacrifice for each other, and they understood how to show each other gratitude. So in that one moment, it captured many things that I love about a team. I feel like we have a big question mark hanging over us about whether or not we can reproduce that type of energy and that kind of togetherness week in, week out. And that tough question has been put forward to the squad, and I think they've really done a good job of showing us that they understood that better in the latter stages of the season. I think we had a blip after the derby, quite honestly, and then I think we returned to something much more aggressive and much more together. But we need to take a giant step forward and be able to produce that day in, day out, and certainly week in, week out in the games.
You mentioned togetherness there. Support, there's obviously a huge part of that. They travel thousands of miles up and down the country. They're every week at the Swansea.com stadium. You've talked before about the importance of that connection with them. What's your message to the fans as you prepare for your first full season in charge?
Well, first of all, a huge thank you for the warmth that I've felt from them, and it is a feeling. This is what's so tough about connection, is that it's a feeling, and you can't bottle it or write it down or describe it even particularly. But when you have it, you have it. I feel like I understand the fan in general here, because this is a working class club, and that means a lot to me. And when we can create something that is respected from the grass to the stands and vice versa, we will feel it, and no one will be able to tell us we don't have it. And we have some work to do to try to create the respect and I think the bottom line standard things that we should expect from one another. And we are definitely moving in the right direction, I have no doubt. But it's my job and the job of the staff and players to try to harness that, and we will get there. And when we do, we'll know it.
And you mentioned, Luke, that there's no holiday for you during the summer. So what do the next few weeks look like for you before the players return at the start of July?
No, I don't think I quite deserve yet the holiday. So I'm going to continue to work. The work changes, of course, because I don't have the guys on the grass and the type of meetings that we would do in this room every day and so on. But trying to get things into place to improve here at the training ground and the processes that we go through with training and conditioning and recovery. There's going to be some work going on to make sure that we're in a good place, and of course plenty of work going on looking at potential targets to come into the club, and that's the most probably time consuming bit at this point. But I think that being present is first and foremost, not missing an opportunity, not missing a moment. So I'm going to try to cover as many bases as possible over the summer so that we come back in the best place that we can be.
We wish you every success, Luke, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much.